Hey everyone, welcome to Truck Tech. I'm Thomas Wasson, and I'm happy to announce we're having the Truck Tech Special Edition from ACT Expo. These are some shorter episodes that we're combining together as I went to the event. Super exciting. We had everything from autonomous trucks, we had electric trucks, hydrogen trucks. One truck was painted like a moo cow. It was everything. And also a special thanks to our sponsor, Cummins, for this month for sponsoring Truck Tech. I saw your booth and it looked fabulous. All right, folks, without any further ado, let's dive into our first one. This is with the folks called Plus AI. They're working on some autonomous solutions. You don't want to miss it. Coming right up. We're at ACT Expo. I'm super excited to be talking with the folks at Plus and Shawn Kerrigan. Very excited to be talking with you in person as well. And Shawn, tell us a little bit about yourself first, and we're just going to dive right in.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today. So I'm Shawn Kerrigan, COO and co-founder for Plus. Plus is an autonomous technology developer focused on heavy trucks. So we focus on enabling these heavy trucks to operate fully driverless and autonomous from distribution center to distribution center. One of the things that differentiates us is our deep focus on data and AI as a way to enable these types of virtual drivers, and the strong partnerships we've built with some major OEM partners. So we're partnered with folks like Traton, which includes Scania, MAN, and International, as well as Hyundai and Iveco, another major truck OEM in Europe.
Well, let's talk about the driverless out first. That is 2025 through 2027, it is like the year now in terms of announcements. You all recently made one about plans. Let's dive into that first.
Yeah, so we just announced this week the fact that we did fully driverless, so nobody in the truck, testing at TRC, testing our truck's ability to handle advanced safety maneuvers, such as pull over to the side if it needs to execute a minimal risk maneuver, ability to handle sort of different types of fault injection testing to test the safety capabilities. And so this was an important milestone because as part of this work, we needed to develop the full safety case and operational procedures to operate the truck with nobody in it. And then tested that sort of advanced functionality, which of course is an important prerequisite to be ready to do that type of work on public roads.
And that's one of the big things that a lot of autonomous makers are doing is the testing, the safety case. Everyone has a safety case. Tell us a little about what's going on behind the scenes with your safety case. Is there any stuff you can give us some sneak peeks at?
Yeah, so we have a comprehensive safety case that's actually published on our website, where we break down all the different aspects of what goes into having a safe driverless truck. Now we're working through methodically validating all the different components of that safety case. So this driverless testing was one part of that, right? It was to demonstrate both the operational procedures in terms of being able to test with nobody in the truck, as well as testing some of that core functionality that's critically important for the safe operation once these trucks are on public roads.
And one of the big things is partnerships. And so you all have partnerships with International and then as well as recently Hyundai. Talk about some of that. What goes on behind the scenes, because it's one thing to make the partnership, but as I'm learning, it's just as important to find the partner to help you produce it.
Yeah, we're really excited about our fantastic set of OEM partnerships. So with Traton, we're doing testing globally. So that includes, as we work with Scania in Europe and International here in the US, right? We have testing going on in Europe and the US. And so we have a global collaboration across basically all of their brands to bring this autonomous technology to life and products that they can deploy to their customers. So our focus as a software technology developer is really to enable the truck OEMs to create autonomous trucks that they can deliver to their customers, the fleets. Right, so our customer and partner are the OEMs. So we're really excited about that global collaboration we have with Traton. And then another announcement that we had this week was just part of building on our collaboration with Hyundai with their hydrogen fuel cell truck, really outlining how we have a shared vision for how autonomy and hydrogen fuel cell trucks really have a lot of synergy in terms of coming to market together.
And looking at the Hyundai, I'm assuming that's the cab over for the hydrogen, and then with Scania, they make cab overs as well. So there's a lot of layering and mutually beneficial with these plans. So that way, as you're testing on the full long-nosed Class 8, all that stuff can help translate into other ones.
Yeah, our technology is very flexible in that we can deploy and test on day cabs and sleepers in the US in terms of the ones with the standard trucks, as well as the cab over type trucks that are more common in Europe. As we've been doing that sort of testing with Iveco and Scania and whatnot.
Looking at testing on the long nose, the Class 8s, the internationals, I keep hearing Texas is the place to be. Some people will tell you California. When we're looking at these larger trends, where is all this activity taking place?
So I think most of the testing and most folks are focusing on Texas for initial deployment or across the Sun Belt. So I think that part of the country is a great fit for this type of technology where you have a lot of long runs, a lot of freight that's moving, and a lot of weather conditions that really facilitate this type of technologies being applied.
And looking at Plus's plans as well. So you've got the test, you're doing the testings at locations. What are kind of the next steps as we're looking towards this driverless out and we're looking towards the path towards commercialization?
Yeah, so a lot of it goes into validation of all the aspects of the safety case. And so part of that is, we're gathering both a very broad set of experiences from all of our deployment and testing worldwide, so US, Europe, and then we've also done testing in Australia and data collection in Japan. Right, so we collected sort of a broad set of data, and now it's to validate the different parts of the safety case, as well as to really kind of go deep in terms of the different initial launch routes in some of these markets. Take Texas, for example, where we operate on the Texas Triangle. So a lot of it will be around focus on how do we complete all the steps of validation that lead up to the effectively commercial readiness of the integration of the final driverless ready software with the final ready, autonomous ready base vehicle.
I'm curious as well, thinking of a Japan, thinking of an Australia, you're almost got 4 different prongs in the fire. Was there anything interesting you've learned when we're thinking of autonomy across the world? Are there any kind of different flavors or embellishments as you're learning and testing in these different environments?
So our primary focus is on the US and Europe, but I think having some of that broader exposure has helped us in terms of developing a general virtual driver. It's sort of, we want a virtual driver system that can sort of adapt like a human, can respond to sort of novel, unseen scenarios. And to have that sort of general driving capability, it's good to have some diversity of experience. Not all have it just on a given route in Texas. It's good to have that breadth of experience as well as a lot of depth on some of the initial target markets.
And looking at the internationals and working on the OEMs, one of the things I heard is that as I've spoken with other OEMs, it's almost like when you have the partnerships, when we're finally getting these big announcements, both the technology is good and production is ready. Is that something where when you're working with the OEMs, you're helping them actually make some of these decisions on designing the tractor, emergency braking backups, different kinds of hardware to handle it? Where are you able to speak to where they're kind of at with international? Are we like really close to cooking it up, or?
That's probably a better question I'll leave that to international answer, but I would say that this is a really deep collaboration, right? There's a lot of deep global collaboration between all of our teams in the US and in Europe across their teams and our teams in both geographies. And our focus really as an autonomous developer is understanding what's required from the inputs to the virtual driver system to enable us to bring this to market as a commercial product. And then we found TRATON and International and Scania and all of them to be really fantastic partners to collaborate with in terms of their expertise and sort of putting that into vehicles that can last for 1 million miles, right? That's, I think that one of the reasons why we're so excited about these partnerships with OEMs is that there's so much depth of expertise on how do you build, robust, reliable, and safe vehicles. So when we can combine that expertise with our expertise around how to enable a software-based virtual driver, I think it's a really powerful combination.
When being a co-founder, being there since the beginning, what's kind of the long arc? I've heard some people explain AV1, AV 2.0. Some people explain I'm building a virtual Westworld. What are some of your thoughts along this years-long journey?
I think it's been an exciting journey. Obviously, there have been ups and downs in terms of the hype cycle throughout that time. Since the very beginning, we've been focused on really coming at this from a data and AI focus, right? That's more of the background of myself and my other co-founders is really coming at this is sort of AI and sort of big data technologists. And so we've taken that really focus to how we look to develop this technology. That's partly why we've built this large data set. I think one of the largest global data sets for autonomous trucking, right? Where we have over 5 million miles of experience across these different markets where we've done, testing, deployment, and data collection. So I think we've been really excited as there have been a lot of great advances in AI over the last few years and our ability to harness those advancements to build a better product here.
What are your thoughts on the whole generative AI buzz as well? It's been explained to me that AV 1.0, I needed a team, an army of software engineers. I had to teach them everything. The generative AI, they tell me now that, well, there's a lot of opportunity, but I also need to give it some constraints because it's kind of more of a black box. Is there a special middle ground? Is there a 23 herbs and spices, if we're KFC, for instance, non-copyrighted? What does it look like for an autonomous truck maker?
So I think that's one of the big advantages of an AV 2.0 approach, like what we're taking, where you're effectively moving from more hand-built code and algorithms to larger neural networks combined with larger data sets. Both real-world data as well as simulated data that you're able to generate based on some of that real-world data. Because it really gives you a principled way to move forward. One of the classic challenges under an AV 1.0 type framework is with so many different hand-tuned algorithms, is it's a little bit like 2 steps forward, 1 step back when you try and introduce new scenarios. Because as you adapt the system to handle that scenario, you might have some other knock-on effects in other parts of the system. Where under an AV 2.0 model, where you have larger neural networks, it's a much more sort of principled and scalable way to move forward, because you can add in those scenarios, and as you do that, your neural networks get more general and more capable. And you can really see, I think, the difference in sort of robustness and capability of these things. If you just think of like the difference between the sort of the chatbots that we're all used to, or sort of the voice assistants we all have been using for many years, right, versus what you see in these new chatbots like ChatGPT. Right, it's just a very step function difference between hand-built algorithms to try and answer certain types of questions versus this general capability, which really is based on large data sets used to train large neural networks.
I do have a chicken and the egg question. We have a little bit of time left. One of the things has been 2025 to 2027. I hear NVIDIA makes a Blackwell chip, which makes it a lot easier on the hardware side. We have breakthroughs in the generative AI and the AV 2.0 space. Was this something where we were just waiting on a bottleneck, or was this a convergence of an aha moment as to why this 2-year span seems much more important compared to the past, where people keep telling me, oh, just 2 years from now?
I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head here in terms of we're really at a point in time where so much of the ecosystem has come together. Because it's not just about sort of the AV sort of software developer like ourselves. It's really also about having the compute, it's about having the sensors, it's about having algorithms. All these different pieces really need to come together for this technology to successfully launch. And that's why I think we've sort of hit the inflection point now, because all of those pieces have really come together. And that's what's really going to enable this technology to successfully launch in products and scale.
Looking ahead towards these successful launches and drive routes, is there anything you can share, any timelines, any sneak peeks you can give us?
I think you've heard the numbers that people are quoting out there, right? I think we're right in line in terms of what a lot of others are saying with these timelines coming together and the full ecosystem being ready, right? This is something that's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Closing the safety case, when we're looking at that, some people have pillars, some people have a percentage bar. For Plus, what does it look like with y'all's safety cases, and what would it look like when it's the warm and fuzzy?
So we also have the different pillars, right? And then using that, you calculate your percentage of complete, right? And so we're also tracking that internally as we basically manage all the different parts that need to go into this to make sure that the safety case is complete and ready, right? And so it's when we get to 100% and we've covered all the different aspects, right? That's when we're all ready to go and ready to launch.
And last question as well, AV framework, looks like we're hearing some stuff on the regulatory side, a little more help from the federal thing. Does that position Plus, I've got to talk with Earl, I've got to talk with Wiley back in the day, is that going to place you in a very unique position because you're already making these kinds of conversations and inputs over the years and investing in helping being at the table?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes a complete ecosystem, and we talked earlier about some of the technology ecosystem, but it's also important in terms of the ecosystem when it comes to government and regulatory and public trust and support. And so I think engaging in those conversations is a really important part of building that trust, building that understanding, and enabling this technology to really launch.
Now, last one, if we're at the football, last one, are we at the 5-yard line, the 10-yard line, broader AV, so I'm not going to put you on the hot seat. Where do you think we are for folks who are just trying to gauge, the level of we're so here right now?
I mean, so when you think about broader AV, I think that's one of the exciting things is we are here now, right? You can go ride, and if you go to San Francisco and take a ride-hailing vehicle, a quarter of the time it's going to be a driverless vehicle, right? Same thing in mining. People have started to launch these as products in terms of driverless trucks to work in mining. So we're already seeing AV start to commercialize in certain segments. And we're, of course, really focused then on this Class 8 truck segment, which we think is going to be one of the most impactful ones to work on.
Perfect. Shawn, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to catching up again as well. All right, folks. Well, you just finished watching the excellent interview with the folks at Plus AI. We're going to have a lot more great content coming up. Stay tuned.